Gavin Newsom is making headlines after having Ben Shapiro on his podcast, where Shapiro got him to walk back important statements he made emphasizing the abuses from ICE. I don't have any problem with Democrats speaking to right wing figures. It's good. We should have more conversation and show what different principles look like in this country. But what I do have a problem with are Democrats who completely change what they call their core values depending on who's in the room. Gavin is chasing this right wing voter base that does not exist. He said this statement on Twitter that absolutely is true. This is state sponsored terrorism. This is the federal government that is allowing ICE agents to act with impunity, zero accountability, treating citizens however they like. And then they follow that up with cover up stories saying that one, the victims are to blame, and two, the federal government has no obligation to work with state officials or local law enforcement to actually get the truth out to the public. Disgusting. And yes, state sponsored terrorism. And then when he has Ben Shapiro on, he says this.
Immediately pushed by the Trump administration and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem that she was a domestic terrorist who was attempting to run over officers with her car and was legitimately trying, not just this officer, but multiple officers. That was the original statement. I said at the time, I thought that was untrue.
Perfect. Ben Shapiro concedes. He says that the Donald Trump administration and the federal government are openly lying to the American people. Gavin Newsom, if you want to be the 2028 nominee, if you are this big, strong, principled Democrat who stands as the biggest opponent to Donald Trump, that is where you cut him off. You say, yes, thank you for admitting that. Many on the right will not concede that the president openly lied to his own people and said that a woman who died from an ICE officer's shooting was a domestic terrorist. What the hell kind of lie is that? You need to be able to say that. You don't have to be rude. If your whole job is you want to bring right-wingers on and be a friendly face to them and show Republicans across the country that Democrats don't have to get all emotional, fine, that's good and dandy. But you can still emphasize that. You can still point and say, what you just said, Ben, many refuse to do that are on your side. And we need more people like you who are calling out the president and aren't afraid to do so. And then Ben Shapiro continues to go on with no interruption.
And then your press office tweeted out that it was state-sponsored terrorism, which, I mean, Governor, I do have to ask you about that. Yeah. That sort of thing makes our politics worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
I mean,
telling the truth makes our politics worse. Thank you, Bishop.
Our ICE officers obviously are not terrorists.
Yeah.
A tragic situation is not state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And one was...
The point, okay, well, we just ended. We saw what Newsom's response was. Yeah, that's fair. Good point, Ben. No. What is a terrorist? A terrorist is designed to use fear as a mechanism to get public control. That is the whole point of what a terrorist is. ICE was made in 2003. This is not a bedrock institution of the United States. This is not what our founding framers guaranteed to be as part of the country or representative democracy. This was a fear institution that was put in place in post 9/11 US of A. It is used to instill fear in a population and show what the federal government is capable of. The strength of the government, ICE, Department of Homeland Security, TSA, these were all agencies that were done in the counterterrorism measures post 9/11. It was the most paranoid environment in American history where the federal government wanted to show the full force of what it was capable of to those that it considered to be political dissidents. That means rounding up Muslims in all of New York and many parts of the country to send them to Guantanamo Bay just because they might have connections to Al-Qaeda. Absolutely unconstitutional. Now it's being used against mostly Latino and brown-skinned Americans. And if we have a Democratic leader that wants to be the next face of the party, they need to openly say that. They need to stand on their principles. They can't just cower down and say, yeah, that's fair. You're not building a bridge with somebody who's trying to excuse ICE crimes. You're going to sit here and tell me that these people aren't terrorists? Oh, you're really going to look the American people in the face and Ben Shapiro and say, yeah, you're right. These people right here are not terrorists. Pepper spraying people point blank in the face, choking people to the ground. It makes no sense. You're shooting pepper balls in people's heads, using your car to ram people into, choking a peaceful protester throwing up a peace sign. Got it. This is the type of behavior that Gavin Newsom apparently condones now. Yeah, you're right. Most ICE actually are good people. What are we doing? ICE has an approval rating of negative 17% across the country. That means only 43% of people actually support the agency. So a majority of Americans are already not even in support of ICE. And 74% of Democrats want the entire agency abolished. You want to be the leader of the Democrats. And something that almost 3/4 of Democrats want to do, you can't stand on business on. You have to capitulate to a right-wing propagandist in order to try to get this imaginary swing voter that's never going to come your way. Last year, Kamala Harris ran her campaign trying to appeal to that same voter. Look what happened. She paraded around with Liz Cheney. She said that the United States military needs to be the most lethal in the world. She said that she would secure the border bigger than any president before her, using all of this right-wing rhetoric to try to appeal to some moderate voter, and she lost every single swing state. You will not reach Republicans, you will not reach independents by trying to be the diet Republicans. We need to reject their framing entirely. You need to stand on the business of the people who live in your state. California has a predominantly Latino population. LA and Orange County are being targeted more than any other counties in the entire country. And you need to stand up for those people who are currently being abused by ICE, who are watching people get killed in the street with no accountability and don't have any Democratic leadership to look to, as that is the person that's going to stand up for us. The description of Newsom's podcast says, I'm Gavin Newsom, and it's time to have honest discussions, answer the hard questions, and debate without demeaning or dehumanizing one another. It's a good goal. You don't have to dehumanize somebody to push back on them. But this is not debate. Let's not lie here. This was not a debate. This was a softball bringing Ben Shapiro on to say all the shit that he wants to frame you as a bad person for the country, and you're going to capitulate and be like, yeah, that's fair. You're right. It's not state-sponsored terror. Even though I just tweeted that out in support of the people who are clearly victims of this ICE abuse. This is what pisses people off more than anything. It's Democrats who use genuine social struggle, people that are being abused by a corrupt system for political clout. And then you have on the political opponents who support that type of state terrorism. And you say, oh yeah, you're right too. Let me be the enlightened centrist. I will sit on this fence. Hopefully everybody will like me by the end of this. No, dude, stop being a people pleaser. Stand on your principles. There will be independents and even some Republicans who might see somebody who has genuine conviction and is being authentic regardless of who's in the room with them. That might actually inspire somebody, even if they politically disagree. But let me tell you, you're pissing off the fucking people that you represent in your own state, and you're pissing off those potential Republican voters you're trying to court because they see that you're a spineless fuck who doesn't actually believe in anything. If your principles disappear the second you're trying to look reasonable, they were never principles to begin with. They were just branding and they were makeup. Don't lie to the American people. We can compare Gavin Newsom to a candidate that is unashamed of himself, Zohran Mamdani. Zohran calls himself a democratic socialist. He is very honest and open about his beliefs. He's strongly convicted and he does not back down. Yet he's still polite. He's friendly. He talks with Trump supporters where they're at. He respects if people think differently from him, but he tries to win them over with his views instead of lie about his own views to make himself look more appealing to Trump voters. Perfect Union did actually a great video highlighting the shift of those that voted for Trump in 2024 that then became staunch Mamdani supporters.
Right away, they call me a communist. They call me a socialist. Like, you're not a conservative. You're not MAGA.
That's what people say. You cannot be that. Time out. You cannot be MAGA and Mamdani. Why not? Why can't you be? To me, it's the most natural thing in the world.
When Zohran Mamdani, a democratic socialist, met with Donald Trump in the Oval Office, it wasn't supposed to go well.
The president has been repeatedly referring to him as a communist.
But then,
congratulations, Mr. Mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. We're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true.
People started looking at me like I was a fortune teller, like I had somehow told the future, and I started believing it.
Something strange is happening in New York City. A new group of voters is emerging, and they're quietly challenging our most basic assumptions about politics.
What box would you put me in? I wouldn't say really any box at this point.
In 2024, New York shifted to the right, more than it had in decades. Just a year later, the city swung back to the left, electing its first ever socialist mayor. But here's where it gets weird. Some of the same voters were part of both waves.
A lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
If politics is all about which team you're on, this kind of thing isn't supposed to happen.
I mean, did you see the guy who has the MAGA from Mamdani hat?
So who are these voters? What are they after? Are they just outliers? Or are they a preview of whatever comes next?
That is the future of politics. Mamdani wins over Trump voters not because he tries to capitulate to the right-wing narratives or he tries to soften, you know what, maybe the Republicans are right here. No, he makes a case for what he's fighting for. He talks about people's genuine needs. He talks about healthcare costs. He talks about cost of living. This is the future of cross-party politics. If Gavin Newsom does want to win Republican voters, it is not by capitulating to right-wing narratives or softening his own principles to seem more palatable to those that are Republicans. No, Mamdani won so many Trump voters because he sold them his vision. He said, I understand what is affecting you day to day. I know that healthcare continues to skyrocket. I know that rents are getting out of control. I know that you can't afford to take care of your kids. I want to make sure that we build a society that allows for that, that puts you first, that says your dignity actually matters. You don't have to fight for crumbs. You don't have to continue to watch overinflating wealth from the 1% of the whole country while the 99% has to fight for scraps. We will not stand for that anymore. Gavin, if you want to win people over, that is the message. Give them something to vote for. Give them hope and inspiration. Don't say, right, yeah, I know that I said that ICE is actually terrorizing communities and that's a bad thing, but maybe I'm being a little too crazy on that. Maybe that is fair, Ben Shapiro. Maybe ICE actually are altruistic. What the hell is that, dude? You are betraying everybody that you so-called call your supporters, and you show your phoniness to those that are Republicans. It is a lose-lose situation. Watching clips of that Trump and Mamdani meeting is always so funny to me because I remember that the House voted to denounce the horrors of socialism ahead of the Mamdani-Trump meeting. There were 86 Democrats that tried to win favor over with the right-wing narratives of, oh my God, Zohran is going to be such a sore for the country. He's anti-Semitic. He hates his own people. He's going to destroy New York. And then Trump ends up loving Mamdani. This just shows it bites them in the ass. If Democrats are trying to appear more conservative or say that we're more principled because we join the Republicans in denouncing the horror of things like universal health care and cheaper childcare, fast and free busing, all terrible things, by the way. Yeah, that's not going to really win you over favor. Even the most right-wing president in modern American history is still won over from the charm of a democratic socialist. It's hilarious. I mean, this isn't the first time that people have questioned the authenticity of Gavin's principles. Last year, he was asked about AIPAC's influence on our congressional system, and this is what he said.
AIPAC. I will not vote for a candidate that takes $1 from AIPAC.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I haven't thought about AIPAC. And it's interesting. You're like the first to bring up AIPAC.
Oh, really? Really, you have an entire team of staff. You are the governor of the most powerful state in the entire country. No one's mentioned AIPAC. Really, Gavin? That's what you're going to tell us?
Years, which is interesting.
Why
did I say that? Not relevant to my day-to-day life.
Okay.
Which is just interesting.
Listen,
it's interesting you say that. JPAC perhaps more, but AIPAC less and less.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is just interesting.
What's interesting about it?
That it's just interesting as you bring up AIPAC that it hasn't been part of. I'm just reflecting quite openly and honestly. Hasn't been part of the day-to-day.
Yeah. The only reason why I ask is because what I'm talking about is lobbying in and of itself. Look, let me be honest with you. The first thing that I'm
not honest this whole goddamn time?
I've been keeping it real with you. I've been keeping it real with you.
Unbelievable.
By the way, just to let you know, just to let you know, they fried my ass.
I always say that. And I'm like, God, I shouldn't have said that.
Just to let you know, they fried.
He's so happy to try to weasel away from that. No, if you want to get drunk, rewatch that whole clip and take a shot every time he says interesting. We watched his brain break. It's important that we look to actual Democrats who could stand as potential leadership. Another Democrat with strong future in leadership and genuine conviction is Greg Casar of Texas. He is a congressional representative who here is talking about a woman who was visiting her family after going away to school, detained by ICE, and then sent to her country that she had not been to since she was 7 years old. A federal judge issued an emergency order blocking her deportation, and ICE removed her anyway, which is a clear violation of the law.
It has been clear from the very beginning that the Trump administration was deeply wrong in illegally deporting Annie. She is born in Honduras, but has been raised virtually her entire life here in Austin. She's an Austinite in every way that matters. She's been here since she was 8 years old. And she got into this very prestigious school in Boston, wanted to come and surprise her parents for Thanksgiving. And apparently that's the only crime she committed, was trying to be a good kid to surprise her parents. Got deported against court orders. And the Trump administration doubled down, said they weren't breaking the law. Now the Trump administration is admitting that they broke the law in deporting Annie. And you know what? Admitting to the mistake isn't enough. The way that they can make up for this is to bring Annie home. That way she can be in class for the first week of school next week.
See, that is genuine leadership. That is someone showing what their principles are and is not kowtowing to the right wing political machine. He could have said, if he was doing the Gavin Newsom strategy, thankfully the White House has apologized for this failure and hopefully we'll see her returned home. No, an apology is not enough. You doing an illegal action and deporting somebody after a federal judge demanded that you halt that deportation because this is a woman who goes to a prestigious school on the East Coast just trying to visit her family, zero violent criminal record, does not deserve to be deported, and yet they do it anyway because they don't give a shit about what the law says. This is genuine leadership.
Government funding, we're about to run out of money. What should be the red lines when it comes to ICE funding? When it comes to DHS, should there be policy or reduction in funding? What should be the options?
I mean, in terms of which deadlines line up with which goals, that's a tactical decision to be made. But my position has always been clear that ICE funding should be cut. We're seeing what they're doing with this reckless explosion in funding, and mind you, just so everybody knows, I want everybody to understand the cuts to your health care are what's paying for this. All that extra money that everybody's paying right now in their premiums, all that extra money that you're paying, it is paid for it is all of that extra money that the government and the ACA subsidies that was given to nearly $1 trillion in healthcare was taken out and given to ICE. So understand how these dots connect. You get screwed over to pay a bunch of thugs in the street that are shooting mothers in the face. That is what this administration's doing. That's what the Republican Party did.
That point needs to be emphasized so much because it is entirely true. I hear all the time right-wingers saying, I don't want to be paying for other people's health care. I don't want my taxes to be going towards places that don't have a good enough job to offer them benefits. That's all bull. They should work harder. The government is going to spend your money no matter what. You're going to keep getting taxed. Sorry to break it to you. It's either your money is going to go towards feeding families, giving people health care, and actually making this country sustainable, or it's going to be going towards more of this. More people shot point blank in the face with pepper spray and mace. More people ripped from their cars, grabbed by their necks while they're standing there doing nothing and thrown to the ground. You make the decision. You tell me what you'd rather have your tax money going towards. This story isn't about podcasts. It's not about Ben Shapiro. It's not even about Gavin Newsom personally. This is about what type of leadership that people are desperate for. Do the people want somebody who's just going to say what they think the polls say or what the people in the room want to hear? Or do they want a leader that offers genuine change and actually has the courage to defend it? Consistency is not something that is a feature of a good politician. It should be the bare minimum. And you need somebody who can inspire the hope in people to vote for something, not just vote because it's the easier alternative to what we're seeing right now. Grow a spine, Gavin Newsom. Grow a spine, moderate Democrats. Show people what you are capable of achieving, because that change is what's going to inspire people to actually participate in their electoral process.